Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. This is our special bonus edition, and I'm going to be talking about a debate that was had recently on February 1st. But before we get started talking about that, let's begin with prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing or failing to follow your will. Please help us to do everything we do for the good of your people, for our own good and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, well, here's to another edition of Talk Law Radio. I'm going to be talking about a debate that was had recently between Republicans because the primary's coming up in March. And I first wanted to tell you why I was there. And the reason is because I wanted to find out what the issues were in these two races. One race was for a county commissioner seat in Precinct 3, and another race was between Texas House District 121. That's House of Representatives in Texas District 121. And I'll tell you who the contenders of each race is shortly. I just wanted to report what I saw and heard at those debates. Usually I don't get real political about things, and so I'm not reporting on this for the basis of having a political debate, but just letting you know what the issues are that are out there. Okay, so for the first debate, this was for the county commissioner seat in Bexar County, Precinct 3. The commissioners are divided around the city based on different precincts, and so I wanted to better understand what these areas covered. There's 4 precincts. I'm looking at a map, that's why I'm looking over here, that illustrates where the precincts are, and they're not like neatly squared off or circles, or they're not even really equal in size, maybe by population, but not by land mass. If you want a copy of this map, email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com. I found this online, but it was difficult to find. And so if you're listening and you're interested in finding out how the precincts are divided, just let me know. Email me at host@talklawradio.com. What we're talking about is Precinct 3, and that's the north side. It includes Chavano Park, part of Helotes, includes the Rim. I just saw that on the map, so I'll give you an idea of where it's located. Camp Bullis and Fair Oaks Ranch. The current county commissioner for Precinct 3 is Grant Moody. He did not attend the debate, but I'll tell you a little bit about how he got his seat. The seat was formerly held by Trish DeBerry, and she ran for county judge against Peter Sakai, and she lost, and she also lost this seat, and so Grant Moody was appointed by the county commissioners prior to November 2022. There was a special election in November 2022, and he won that seat against his Democratic rival, Susan Corbell. And he's coming up for election now in 2024. So it's a 2-year seat. And he won with 54% of the vote over Democrat Susan Corbell and is now up for election. And the challenger is Christopher Suchart. He is somewhat known because he ran for mayor last time and lost to Ron Norenberg. And so he's running for Precinct 3 County Commissioner now. And here are some of the reasons why. He was upset about the way that current County Commissioner Grant Moody is voting on things. He criticized Grant Moody for too frequently siding with the court's other members who are all Democrats. So I just point that out, that there's only one Democrat. No, there's only one Republican. All the rest are Democrats. And so he was quoted in the Express News as saying, "I take issue with him constantly voting with the Democrats on the Commissioner's Court because there needs to be a stand, and the only record of your stand is your vote." He was critical of Grant Moody supporting a pay raise for the commissioners on the Commissioner's Court. It went from $131,294 a year to $157,500 a year. And during the debate, well, it wasn't really, it was supposed to be a debate, but Grant Moody didn't show up. And so Christopher Suchart got to say whatever he wanted. He talked about these issues that concern him without having any challenger there. And so you can come to your own conclusions about what that means. I just wanted to point out what the issues are. Suchart said being a conservative Republican means advocating for restraint when it comes to spending. If elected, he said he would donate the amount of Moody's recent salary raise to charity. So he talked in the debate about wanting to reduce spending, and he was upset about how Sheriff Javier Salazar was allocating deputies disproportionately over the city. Suchart said he was engaged in the community. He will stand for principles and not the good old boy system. He also criticized the discretionary spending that the Commissioner's Court has in regards to funding non-governmental organizations like charities and nonprofits. He said the annual allocation for all of the commissioners is $25 million. And Suchart said most have no verifiable results. He said the NGOs cause problems. We need to stop discretionary spending and let the people save on tax dollars and give to the non-governmental organizations, charities, and nonprofits that they choose with the money that they save from not having to pay taxes to the county. He talked about a problem with sewer lines and a septic system where a subdivision was built. There were 76 houses there, and they used some federal funds that were allocated when the pandemic was going on. They call that ARPA, ARPA. He said, Suchart said that money should have been used for low water crossing in Helotes and Gray Forest. He also criticized the way that people vote for their county commissioners and the way that projects are developed and money is allocated and spent for those projects. He says the county is not transparent. We don't know where the investments are. The county is $2 billion in debt. He wants to reduce spending and reduce debt. He also wants to put county commissioners or a county representative on the board of CPS Energy and Saws, the water company. He said that there's no shortage of water, but there's corruption in how water is governed. He says there's one priority his would be the sewer in Timberwood Park. He wants to develop and plan intelligently. He wants to be aware of the projects. He thinks that the current county commissioners, once they get a project going, they just let the contractor run with it, and he thinks that he could do a better job. And he closed with really his introduction, what should have been his introduction. He said that after he graduated from college, he worked at Frost Bank as a credit analyst. He was a controller for an oil company. He helped them stabilize their business after the oil prices got cut in half. And then he managed an aggregate trucking business, and I think that's what he's still currently doing as his day job. So that was the debate, or it was supposed to be a debate between Grant Moody and Christopher Suchart for the County Commissioner Precinct number 3 chair. And you can go to another debate. That one's already in the past, but there's another debate. Well, if you're hearing about this just now, that debate has also passed. But I haven't been to that debate yet. I'm pre-recording this show for a future date. And so I'll be reporting on another debate probably a week from now. I'll tell you more about that as I report on it. Okay, the other thing that's going on, the other debate that went on was between Steve Allison, Mark LaHood, and Michael Champion for District 121 of the Texas House of Representatives. So the primary, just to remind you, is March 5th. Of course, there's going to be an early voting period before that. And then the general election is going to be November 5th. Steve Allison's a Republican. His hometown is San Antonio. He's up for re-election. I wanted to also let you know where District 121 for Texas House of Representatives was. It covers sort of the middle of the city on either side of 281, from Alamo Heights up to but not including Bulverde. He represents 100% of Alamo Heights, 3% of Hollywood Park, 1% of Olmus Park, 100% of Olmus Park, 10% of San Antonio, 100% of Terrell Hills, and 41% of Timberwood Park. And there were I also have an illustrated map of that area. It was a little easier to find, but if you're listening and you want me to email it to you, I will. Just email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOST@talklawradio.com, and I will email you an illustrated map of the Texas House District 121. Steve Allison did not attend the debate, but thank goodness we had a couple other primary challengers who could debate themselves. They were upset that Steve Allison, the current House representative for the state of Texas, voted against school choice. They were upset that he voted to impeach Attorney General Kenneth Paxton. They were upset that he drafted a bill that reduced the penalty for election fraud. So let's talk about some of their arguments against each other. Mark LaHood, you might remember, ran for district attorney last time. He did not win. He's an attorney, and he's running for this seat. He said this race is about principles. His priorities would be border security, election integrity, and the freedom and empowerment of parents for school choice. There were some questions about whether he would support the current Speaker of the House for the state of Texas, or whether he would support somebody else. He said the decision for Speaker is not unanimous. That wasn't the most important thing. School choice was a big issue. He was asked about a voucher system. He said that he supported school choice measures generally. Vouchers is one way to do that. He also recognized that educational savings accounts was another way to do that, not only to pay for tuition, but also books and transportation. He was in favor of that. He was asked about term limits, corruption and weaponization of the judicial system. His response to the term limits question was that there were advantages and disadvantages. It was a balancing act to be productive and effective. He reasoned that you needed to have a certain minimum amount of time doing the job to learn how to do it well. And he said that you could promote trust with the people, the voters, by delivering on what you promise. There was another question about limitations to lobbying after you leave your House seat, and he ran out of time before he could answer that. There was a question to him about whether political subdivisions like cities and counties should be allowed to hire lobbyists to lobby the state legislature, or would you abolish this? He said that he would abolish that. He thought that was not good. On questions of immigration, Mark LaHood said that there was problems with Senate Bill 4. That's the Texas law that says that a person who comes into the state of Texas over the international border could be arrested. His problem with it was that the law allows for the case to be dismissed if that person voluntarily leaves. He thought that that law needed stronger teeth, more enforcement. He said that he supported Governor Abbott in the border security measures, such as having the concertina of razor wire on the border. And he said that he would try and support the Attorney General so that the Attorney General would have more time to fight the federal government in court. He didn't want the Attorney General spending his time fighting over state issues. He said election integrity was a big issue for him. He wanted the laws on early voting to apply the same on election day voting. He wanted to expand the voter fraud law so that it wasn't a misdemeanor. He wanted it to be a felony. He said there was no greater crime than stealing an election. He said that there was a cultural divide going on today, that diversity, equality, equity, I think, and inclusion is modern day Marxism, takes away from the merit-based systems. He said that he would support a ban on transgender sports. He said he would support a ban on medical procedures on children to change their gender. And he closed with this race is about principles. Bring back traditional principles. Okay, let's talk about the other challenger to Steve Allison in House District 121 named Michael Champion. He's a self-proclaimed guy on the outside. He's a retired military. He served in the Texas State Guard, and he said that he had strong leadership skills. He's teaching college at a doctor level now. And there was a question to him about whether the party in control, the majority party in the state House Representatives, should appoint members of the minority party to be chairman of different committees. And he said no, that the party in charge should stack the committees with their own party, that the opposite political party, the other political party, would not return the favor, and so they should take advantage of having a majority while they still have it. He said that he supported school choice. He didn't appreciate the way that teachers' unions controlled teachers and controlled the money in the lobbyists, but he said he did support teachers individually. On the question, do you agree with the impeachment charges against Kenneth Paxton? He said no, because he couldn't defend himself, that the trial was not fair. He said that he would support a fair trial if that would come about. On the question of immigration, he said he would put the whole National Guard on the border. He said he would go after businesses and companies that facilitate the invasion. He would get the Secretary of State to go after businesses and companies, and also the Attorney General to prosecute. When asked, how do you feel about Senate Bill 4, he responded with a question, what do we do when the jails are full? So that was interesting. On election integrity, how do we restore trust in elections? He said he supported voter ID. He supports a paper ballot, and he wants to look at the process for how people register to vote. On the question about the cultural divide, he said that DEI should be removed. Diversity, equity, and inclusion doesn't have any place in government. And his closing was, go to my website. He's addressed all these issues on his website. So that's Michael Champion, running for House District of Representatives in Texas, 121. There were some other questions about homeschool, so I thought that was an interesting issue. Should homeschool students have to take the same STAR test that public school students take? I think private school students haven't been taking that, and so I'm going to have to look into whether that's been a proposed law. There was a question to both candidates, what have you done to advance the Republican cause as a private citizen? And Champion said that he's been writing emails to politicians for many years. Mr. LaHood said that he voted in elections, but he got more involved a year and a half ago when he, quote unquote, woke up. There was a question from the audience about what can legislators do to expel the Mexican mafia. Mr. LaHood said, we're stuck with criminal element. Allow the Attorney General to prosecute when local DA refuses to prosecute. Inform the voter, get the people engaged. And Mr. Champion said, get a DA to enforce the law. There was a question about what do you envision as the future for Bexar County? Mr. Champion said he wanted a good, stable economy, jobs, resources, natural gas, improve infrastructure, and local colleges. Mr. LaHood said he would support parenting, law enforcement, and education. Okay, so everybody seemed to be pretty disappointed that Steve Allison did not show up. They said that the organizers of the event said that they invited him and he didn't show up. So that was the debate for the Bexar County Commissioner's Court Precinct number 3 between Grant Moody and Christopher. And Grant Moody did not show up, so Christopher Suchart got to say everything he wanted to say. And then the other part of the debate was between Steve Allison, Mark LaHood, and Michael Champion. Steve Allison did not attend. This is for State of Texas House of Representatives District 121. So I wanted to tell you some things that are going on that you might not be aware of yet. First, you can listen to me talk about the law on the radio on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock in the morning on 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. And you can listen to me talk about the law on Facebook Live, also on YouTube, where the podcast is divided into 4 segments, easy bite-sized chunks for you to easily digest about me talking about the law. You can also go to your favorite podcast provider, search for Talk Law Radio, look for my smiling face or the Lady Liberty and the red, white, and blue colors. Also, you can go to www.talklawradio.com and search for archived episodes there. If you could do me a favor, I'd really appreciate it if you'd go to YouTube, search for Talk Law Radio, look for Lady Justice in the red, white, and blue colors, and click the subscribe button. I'm really trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I know there's 1,000 people out there listening right now, so if you just hop on your computer or your mobile phone and search for Talk Law Radio on YouTube, then you can click the subscribe button, click the little bell if you want to get notifications when new episodes are dropped. Well, I think that's all the time I have today, so I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you tuning in. Talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.